God disembodied these fallen angels. They no longer had the ability to go about life the way that they were doing before the flood. They didn't have a body. They couldn't just get up and go and do something and interact with one another in that capacity. They are in the invisible realm at this point. They're bound to the world of invisibility. The people cannot see them. They have no way of interacting with them. They're limited. And this whole invisible realm is a very vast realm. I will do a podcast dedicated to that at a later time. But this invisible realm, God has bound many to this invisible realm. They're still conscious beings. They just have no way of interacting with human life. They have no way of interacting with nature. They are bound in this void type place. It's as if it's a layer of reality that's superimposed upon this reality and acts in real time as this reality acts, but we don't see them. You can have a whole cow sitting right in front of you that's bound to the invisible realm, and you walk right through it like it's not there, because it's not effective in your reality. It does not hold any space in your reality. It cannot make any movement or cause any change in your reality. This is where these fallen ones are after the flood. So their main goal is to find a partner. Now they are at the mercy of human. They are at the mercy. God gives Adam and Eve's descendants, Noah's descendants, the upper hand, or it's such, so he feels. He levels the playing field. And he says, you will need to partner with Noah. You didn't want to partner. Now you're going to partner. I'm going to set it up so you have no choice. And sure, you are insightful, you're intelligent. But I'm going to give Noah and Noah's descendants the leverage here, because they're not as insightful and they're not as intelligent as you. So I'm going to give them, a couple of miles advantage on you in the physical, so they can get themselves up to point and that they can begin firing off on all cylinders without your interruption. But this does not work. It doesn't. What we find happening is, this is why Babylon is so huge. Nimrod, the mighty hunter, would be turned by these entities somewhere along the way. And it will be a trickle-down effect to the people. This is where this knowledge corrupted him. The skins that Adam and Eve had were never to be coveted. And this is why. They were coveted, and now Nimrod is the only one that has the power. Yet, if he would have multiplied himself amongst others that were just as integral as he was, and just as powerful, they could have kept him in alignment. They could have buffeted the turning of him. Them having the knowledge right along with Nimrod would have made the task that much more easier for Nimrod. It would have given these fallen ones more head count to learn and to try to find and scheme a way to overcome than just this one man. You have this one man with these skins and with this power against the vast sea of these individuals. And these are wise individuals. And you got the Apocrypha, the Bible says, the Apocrypha said there was 200 that came to Mount Hermon. That was at the time of Mount Hermon. Now they've multiplied. They have children. And one man, Nimrod, is against all of these individuals. And they're hyper intelligent. angelic beings? And all he has are the skins of Adam and Eve? And you mean to tell me they suffice? That the skins of Adam and Eve worked? That was enough? Yet, what happens is the skins of Adam and Eve were enough to keep them at bay and to dominate them. But the skins of Adam and Eve were not enough to repel them from turning him intellectually. He had no counterpart. He had no partner. It was just a matter of time. And so I don't want to fall off with that. I don't want to leave you with that, but I wanted to add that because that's super important. Once they turn Nimrod, he begins bargaining with them. And, I'm sure part of the bargaining was basing everything off of what the people were fearing and what he feared, which was another flood. The fear would open them up to the sin. And they would say, yeah, we are all in this thing together. We better try to build something up high to counter this thing in case we ever do it again. Instead of saying, you know what, we're not going to allow this to happen again. We're going to stand in the righteousness of our creation. But because these entities were so pervasive, their hearts probably did say, you know what, we are going to counter this thing. We're going to stand in the truth of God and there will be no more wrath of God. But these entities are amongst them that have been in the heavenly realms and says, you don't know God like we know God. There's nothing you can do to prevent God from doing this. God is temperamental, friend. God, you don't know what this God is going to do. Take it from us. Why do you think we came here? Why do you think we would sacrifice heaven for this if it wasn't all of that kind of stuff? And now he's gotten them in their ear, or they're in his ear. And he second guesses and he fears. And fear coupled with ingenuity and intelligence is something else. He thinks he can find a way to safeguard himself. Now he's going to be God. And, all these different things began to happen. They began to build the tower. But like I said in the podcast, the tower wasn't the only thing that they did. They did many things other than build the tower. They were spiritually elite individuals. They were creating aspects of spirituality based upon the fundamentals that God had granted. And they were maximizing on this thing. They had spirituality down to a science in Babylon. This is the heightened level of creation. Seriously. They had levels of spirituality broken down to a science, in which it's a science. They had made it so simplistic. That's how you know something. That's how you know a person knows something. Is when you can talk something extremely complicated into something very simple. They made it simple as 1, 2, 3. They had done things with gravity so that you could lift very heavy objects with sound. They were pushing the limits when it came to spirituality. So